Good morning. In this video, I want to go over another reason to give your IT guy a call. Now, we all know that when something breaks or something doesn't work properly, that's a good time to call the IT guy. But I want to go over some of the other options or other reasons that there may be to give the IT a call, ones that you might not think of. In this video, we want to go over when you're building a new building, or if you're planning to build a new building, you definitely want to give your IT guy a call and have them involved in that whole process. Pretty much, even before you buy the land for the new building, you want to invite your IT guy in and have a discussion. There are a number of things that could potentially go wrong or right, depending on your interaction with the IT guy. Now, a lot of these things are going to overlap with the moving to a new office video I did before. So you can sort of look at that and get some ideas as well. So you definitely want to give your IT guy a call before you decide to build, even before you get plans made. One thing that we can possibly do is look at the ISP that's in the area. So you don't want to move to a spot that you're going to have to spend a lot of money or use some kind of substandard internet service based on the area. So if you wanted to move way out in the middle of the country somewhere, you may not have all of the options and benefit of your internet provider as you would if you were in town. I've even seen cases where from city to city, the internet service provider can differ greatly. In some cases, one internet service provider doesn't even have a presence in a certain city, whereas another one may. So you definitely want to give the IT guy a call early in the process so he can start taking a look at those things to help you. Let us work with the architect. So if you're working with an architect, obviously, to design the building, make the introduction to the IT guy, there are some things that we can go over with the IT guy or with the architects that you may not think to go over and the architect may not think to include. So we can definitely take some of that load off for you. You want to look at things like, and when talking with the architect, some of the things we'll look into are where are you going to place things like network closets, wiring closets, where are they physically going to be located, first floor, second floor, middle of the building, side of the building, those things we want to take a look at. You want to look at things like electrical. Does your wiring closet have sufficient electrical? Do you need multiple breakers going to your network closet so that you can have redundant systems for power? So if somebody accidentally trips a breaker, you're not taking down your server. You want to have those failovers. Those are the kind of things you want to take a look at. Do you want to have power coming from separate panels? Do you want to have separate sources? Do you have a feed that can come in the front of the building and a feed that can come out the back of the building? Those things you want to take a look at. Is a backup generator going to be something that you want to consider for your IT room? And certainly things like UPSs, uninterruptible power supplies, can come into play. You want to look at having the network closet being secure. Is it somewhere that anyone can hop off an elevator and walk right into, or is it something that's locked behind a couple of doors? Those kind of things you want to consider. Heating, ventilation, and air condition. You want to have definitely cooling in your wiring closet and in your IT infrastructure. You want to make sure that you account for that. Things like how many drops do you need? So a lot of people will say, well, there's one computer, that's going to be one drop. Well, you may want to take into account things like voice over IP phones, multiple computers, network printers, network scanners. What is that person sitting at that desk going to actually have right there? And again, that's something that some of the questions that your IT guy can begin to bring up. We can also work with the ISP, work with your vendors to take some of the burden off your plate when you're building a building. We can deal with the internet service providers. We can deal with some of the cabling vendors. We can deal with the GC so that we get things in place and we can approach it from an IT point of view. This really saves you from having to learn all of the geek speak that we're involved in on a day-to-day basis. We can also help with new hardware. So you're going to go from maybe a smaller building into a bigger building. What are some things you need to think of? Are you going to need a rack? Are you going to need a bigger punch down block than what you may have thought? Are you going to need higher throughput switches? Those kind of things are what your IT guy can help bring to the table. Are you going to need a rack? How big of a rack do you need? Is a wall-mounted rack going to be sufficient? Does it need to lock? Does a floor standing rack make sense? Do you need a half a rack, a full rack? A number of questions that your IT guy can definitely help you. And the most important is, what color do you want the wall plates to be? I can't believe how many times I'm asked what color the wall plates are going to be. And even that is something that is selectable if you involve your IT guy before those things are purchased and put in place. Things like camera system. Do you need a camera system? Do you want a camera system? Is that going to interact with the network? How is that going to be set up? There are really lots of decisions that and things that you need to think of during this process, and your IT guy can definitely help you deal with some of those issues and take that burden off your plate so that you can focus on some other things that are going on with the build and with the project. Again, my name is Al. I'm with AOT, Atlantic Office Technologies. If you need someone to bounce some ideas off of, we're more than happy to chat with you. Our phone number is 757-466-8862. Thanks a whole bunch. Hope you enjoyed the video.